Australian Bob Ross. Well, yeah, he's not done too much. I don't have coronavirus, just so you know. Um, but yeah, our Australian Enlightenment coach, Bob Ross, wears this hat. And apparently, there's a bunch of my accents that are coming through. So let's see what is going to happen. I usually do these kind of ones with multiple hats. So I just got to set my hats up here. And I've got hats here and there and everywhere. Or else then I've got so many hats, it's ridiculous. It's true. I'm a man of many hats. And let's see what is going to happen. Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, this is Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin is not going to talk. He just wants you to let you know that this is his hat. This is Bob Frizzell for the reality game, and thanks for watching. I'm a man in the street with a Justin Bieber hat. I'm your old fisherman. This be the Oberman. I come from Jamaica, man. Alright, it's Christopher Isherwood, and I usually wear this hat. Sometimes I wear the other ones, but this is my main hat. Okay, this is the guy in the street, and he says, I don't know what to do. I'm getting so concerned about coronavirus, and they even gave coronavirus a new weird name. Is this like how they started off calling like that terrorist group? It was originally called ISIS, and then Barack Obama kept calling it ISIL. The Oberman be come and say, now that you've given us a question, I don't know the answer. This is TC, and as you can see, I work for Dairy Queen. You know, we make kind of like ice cream treats and things. I don't know nothing about this coronavirus. Am I scared about it? I think it's just like all these other ones that keep coming by over the years. You know, some people are said to get sick, but usually, I don't know, within 6 months, we don't hear about them anymore. It seems like someone's playing a big trick on us. Okay, Rumpelstiltskin's not here, but what would he say? He wants you to know about the Hegelian dialectic. I think he's saying it incorrectly. Usually I say Hegelian because it was like John Locke and somebody named Hegel. They were like philosophers. The dialectic is, well, it's an old meme on the internet. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's called problem, reaction, solution. And it's a mind control thing that might be attributed to former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who worked for Richard Nixon and Gerald R. Ford. What is it all about? It's about a problem. So some problem is presented to the public, and the public goes, "Oh my God, I need something done by the government." That's the reaction. The problem is there's always a new problem, and the reaction of the people is always, the government needs to do something about the problem. And then the solution is presented by the government. How is that mind control? The problem is created by the government. The solution is supplied by the government, and the reaction is programmed into the people. How does the government present this to you? Usually through mainstream media. What's the purpose of this? The purpose of the Hegelian dialectic is to get you to give away your independence to an authority figure, usually the government. And what's the purpose of this? To turn you into mm, helpless sheeple. It's manipulating humans. It's lying to them. It's how the elite keep control. The elite are a relatively small number of people. Um, if it's true that there's 7 to 8 billion humans, they need a way to control us. And this is how they do it. In the United States, there are 6 corporations that run mainstream media, and they're all owned by who? Well, the rich stockholders. In other words, the rich. And they all parrot one another. It's like you'll get the same information from all of the media. So you think, well, it's true. But if you kind of look at, well, if you're a multi-billionaire and you hang out with the billionaire class, and it's called the Bilderbergers, it's also called the Trilateral Commission, it's also called the Council on Foreign Relations, it's also called the Illuminati, sometimes it's called the Deep State, sometimes it's called the elite, sometimes it's called the 1%. But if you're these people, you've used a lot of psychological research in order to determine how do you control this enormous population on planet Earth. So you have institutes like Tavistock in the UK and all kinds of think tanks, all kinds of private things that we don't know about. And what do they do? Well, they do research on how to control humans. And they're very good at it. They've been working at it for decades and decades and decades and decades. Maybe longer. Maybe it's been hundreds of years, because they used to own the newspapers. So, how do you control a population? You scare them. Machiavelli, in his book, The Prince, it was written for the rulers of states, maybe the Italian states. Italy used to be a number of states. And Machiavelli told them, don't love the people because they won't respect you. What you have to do is scare the people. If you can scare the people, it's way more controlling than if you love the people. So if you want to get the people's respect, have a public execution of someone who has called you a tyrant or something. Prove that you're a tyrant, and then the people will cower with fear. In the 1970s, 1980s, we had what they called the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact, all together as one side, and the United States, the United Kingdom, Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, NATO. NATO versus the Warsaw Pact. And it was basically, we have enormous numbers of nuclear weapons, and so do they. And they don't like us, and we don't like them. And if we don't watch it, they're going to, what? Well, every May Day, May the 1st, the news media would show film from the Russian capital, Moscow, where there would be an enormous military parade, a huge parade of military hardware, including what we were told were ballistic missiles that could be used to send anything from nuclear weapons to chemical weapons to biological weapons at us. And then we had President Ronald Reagan, who said that, sorry, folks, but We have a window of vulnerability to the Russians, the Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact, maybe even China. And we're going to have to spend a fortune to beef up our military. What happened? They got what they wanted. They got an enormous increase in military funding under Ronald Reagan. Where did the money go? No one knows. How's that Hegelian dialectic? We have a problem, a window of vulnerability. Ronald Reagan went on national TV with this one. The people were scared. Our president says we're in trouble. The solution? I'm just going to spend more money on the military. The people nod. Yes, they re-elect Reagan. It's that easy. Was there really a threat of Soviet Russia? Let's look at the perspective from the Russian people. I don't watch Russian TV, especially back in the 1980s. We didn't have access to it. But what would Leonid Brezhnev, the leader of the Communist Party, which is basically the president of the Soviet Union, what would he say to his people? What would the president of the Soviet Union say to his people? Well, they talked about World War II, the Great Patriotic War. In other words, we fought Nazi Germany. Nazi Germany was defeated, and we fought so we could have what we have today. We have a new enemy, the Americans. The Americans have chosen to boost spending on their military. We have to boost spending on our military to match the Americans. What did it mean for the people? You have to accept austerity. What is austerity? It means cutbacks in government benefits to you. In other words, your standard of living is going to fall because we have to spend more money on the military. So there's less money for you, for everything. Who else uses austerity? Western governments use austerity. Ronald Reagan used it. It was called the trickle-down theory. We're going to cut taxes on the wealthy, which means less money coming into the government. So then what? Well, we have to spend lots more on the military. I guess we're going to go into debt. And, what does that mean for governments? Well, did Reagan cut back on things? Somewhere along the line, there's been a lot of government cutbacks. Taxes go up. You pay more for beer and cigarettes. User fees. In America, you pay an unbelievable amount of money for your medical care if you go to see a doctor or a hospital. Unbelievable, enough to bankrupt you and your whole family. If you go to college or university, you get enormous debts because they're very expensive. What about in other countries? What's the austerity? Well, you just look at Google, look up austerity and examples of it. It's like it's constant. It's like the economy is tanked, the stock market is down. Um, sorry, sorry. Yesterday I went to, I live in Canada, and I went to get my blood work done. In the past, there was no charge. Yesterday, there was austerity. I had to pay $12 out of my pocket for a test that used to be free. Everyone says, oh, we're so famous in Canada because we've got government paid medical system. It's falling apart. Austerity means instead of things that used to be paid for by, we people say the government, but paid by taxpayers, now in addition to the high taxes that we pay in Canada, we're having to pay upfront money for things we used to get for free. This is austerity. That's just one example. Why did they do this? Because they want to squeeze the people. Squeeze the people. Squeeze more and more out of you so you don't have any savings. So you're always living on the edge. And then what happens with the people? Well, you have to start working two jobs. And the wages keep falling. Why? Well, because in countries like Canada, there's enormous amounts of immigration. Same as Europe, same as the United States. Immigrants keep pouring in because the government lets them in. The people don't want them in. And what happens with the immigrants? Well, you have more and more people chasing fewer and fewer jobs. Why fewer and fewer? Well, all of the unionized manufacturing jobs were shipped off to Mexico and China. So, the good paying jobs that used to be in Canada, they're not there anymore. And Donald Trump said, oh, Canada's unfair to us. Sorry, Donald. Canadians are just like your American people. We want make Canada great again when we used to make things that we don't. So it's not Canadians who are predating on Americans. Is it Mexicans? No, it's not Mexicans, and it's not Chinese people. It's not the people predating on the other people. It's corporations that are racing to where they can manufacture this stuff for slave wages. Sometimes I use prison labor in China. American politicians use prisoners in prisons, private prisons, to call voters. Google that one. It was just in the past week or so. What's the point? They basically don't want us. They don't need us anymore. We're a problem to be managed. If they have their druthers, they'd kill us all off. Because they don't need us. They don't want us. We're a hassle to control. If you look at the Georgia Stones, look up Georgia Stones and you'll see they want to really reduce enormous cull of humans on the planet, enormous reduction in world population to make it even easier for them to control. And they don't need us. I mean, they've got automation. They don't need us anymore. And they don't care about us. They're not humans. What are they? They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. They're evil. They're evil. And these are the ones who are using mass media to make you buy into their program because you're stupid. Don't call me an idiot. You're an idiot. I know all about this. There's lots of people that know all about this. I met another person last night that knew all about this. People know about this. Is this tin hat conspiracy theory? No, it's reality. But because you are still listening to mainstream media, if you're one of the people that believe in all this stuff, that it just, bats, coronavirus, didn't it come from bats? Didn't HIV AIDS come from green monkeys? Mm-mm. Man-made. Man-made with a cover story. If you think I'm a tin hat. Propaganda was very famous under Nazi Germany. The British had propaganda to counter the Nazi propaganda. What is propaganda really? It's lies. Lies, 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 told to the public by an announcer on the television who looks at you straight through your television and tells you a bald-faced lie over and over again. This is known as the Big Lie, which was Hitler and Joseph Goebbels, who was his propaganda minister. If you really want to understand it, you should pick up a book called 1984 by the author George Orwell, because it totally describes the world that we live in today. What do you want to do about it? Are you going to say, I guess it's me, you're a tin hat conspiracy theorist, and I don't want to believe you? My cousin says that to me. Why? Mm, Cognitive dissonance. I'm comfortable believing the official story. And your story I can label as conspiracy theory, and I can get my broom and sweep it up into my dustbin and put it in the garbage. But my cousin really doesn't look at history. Why not? I don't know why. I don't know why. His father would have looked at history. And probably come and said, this is not too good. His father was a socialist because he had a very tough upbringing. And he felt like humans really need a safety net. We have to band together. My father, on the other hand, was a capitalist lackey. What does that mean? Um, he basically sticks a lot of extra wax in his ears because he doesn't want to listen. He watches mainstream media all the time. Whenever I bring up anything, he gets really angry at me. That's cognitive dissonance. What's going to happen? Tune in tomorrow. That's what Rumpelstiltskin would say. All right, it's Christopher Isherwood, and I'm wearing the Bob Frizzell hat. What does it really mean? Well, it's a great story, what's really going on behind the scenes. And how are you ever going to figure it out? You have to use, novels, because that's usually when authors go and they sketch out, what if this scenario was real? And, they tell a story about it, they got lots of characters about it, and then they market it to you and you buy it, and then you read the book, and then you understand. Do you understand? Well, I guess the Oberman down in Jamaica. Down in Jamaica, they got lots of pretty women. Steal your money and they steal your heart. What's that got to do with all this? Most likely nothing. I can't tell you anything other than if you go to Jamaica, what are you going to find in Jamaica? Rum, resorts, lots of food, warm water, beaches, pretty scenery, marijuana. That's the Jamaican flag. Oh, it's Christopher Isherwood here again. I don't want you to go smoking your marijuana. I want you to get involved. Most likely what you need to get involved with is following more of this guy. Because this guy, he's going to tell you multiple storylines from multiple personalities. It's basically a novel. And, you got one actor here, one body actor that's playing a lot of different parts. And what are you going to spawn? All right, it's Christopher back with my hat on. Okay, so what you're going to learn about all this from the storyline of all this? It's an education for you. It's an education. You get a lot of different characters talking. And what's the main theme here? The main theme is either you take control of your own consciousness as a sovereign, sentient, homosexual, Mariana Trench person, or you do. Okay, I'm going back to the Dairy Queen. Why did Christopher say something about homosexuals? Well, there's an agenda. The homosexual agenda. What is it? They want to turn everyone homosexual. Why? They want people to play with. This is a long video, half an hour. Have you been enjoying it? Did you learn something? Which is more dangerous, the homosexual agenda or the Illuminati? There will be a test, and you will be graded. Okay, this is my fishing hat. What am I fishing for? Subscribers, please subscribe. You click that subscribe button, and if you want to be updated on every time we make a new video, click on the bell. But I warn you, sometimes we put out multiple videos, like maybe 6 or 7 a day on a busy day, and your bell might just go ding, 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 ding. So, if you don't want that, don't hit the ring-a-ding bell. But then again, if you want all the stories on our channel and you really want to figure it out, and if you've got lots of time, because it takes a lot of time to watch our videos. What's better about our videos than Netflix? What's better about our videos than Netflix is we're not commercial. In other words, everything on Netflix is produced by a Hollywood kind of production, and they've got an agenda primarily to scare you and to give up your rights. Why? Well, that's what it's all about, giving lots of violence, lots of dystopia. What's dystopia? It's not utopia, it's the opposite. It's mostly endless depression, endless problems. Don't you give us problems on here, doesn't Yes, some of our characters have problems, no doubt about it.
Hi, my name is Jacob Reptilian Draco. Why do we say reptilian? Because reptilians are kind of like villains. And you need a good villain in the story. In fact, we're foreign to planet Earth. We have our own planet, but we rule planet Earth secretly. We're the power behind the throne of the Illuminati. In other words, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the George Soroses of the world are considered to be the billionaires that run everything, but in actuality, they work for me. I'm Pindar, the reptilian Draco, Prince of Draconis. My father is the evil emperor. Hail to the chief.
All right, it's Christopher. Yeah. Okay, so you've got a lot of our characters here. Please stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll continue to make videos to puzzle you as to what the hell is he meaning. And sooner or later, we'll get around to explaining it all. But if you got a direct question, just put it in the comment, and we'll make you a new video to help explain what's going on. Thanks for watching.